Hi everyone and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be sharing some of my own home with you. We're going to be having a look around my living room and I'm going to be sharing some styling tips with you. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm cutting some foliage for a vase in the living room. These olive trees are actually really good because I hack at them weekly and they just keep producing more branches. But olive branches don't last very long, unfortunately. Eucalyptus dries really nicely, but olive leaves just drop off when they go dry. So you have to replace them about once a week. I can't claim to do this garden by myself. We've got gardeners that help us, but I love planning it. I love choosing what plants to put in. My mum, I always used to do gardening. My mum, she knows a lot about gardening and planting. So she taught me all the names of all the plants. Sometimes my husband tests me and asks me what a plant is and he thinks I just make the name up because he doesn't know any better, but it's one of those weird things. I just retain knowledge about plants for some reason. This is our utility room. This is probably the most used room in our house. I absolutely love this room. It's one of my favourites. And I love this big butler sink that we got. It's Waterworks, and it's just so handy for hand washing. And right now, I'm rinsing the olive branches just to get all the creepy crawlies off. They don't end up in the living room. Now I'm just going to cut the branches down. I like all my flower arrangements to be quite low, because then otherwise it would sort of overwhelm this vase, and I want to be able to see as much of the vase as possible. And also on the coffee table, I like a little bit of height, but not too much, because when you're sat in the living room, it's nice to be able to see the other people clearly. I'm going to show you some rooms that I haven't shown before. You know, I'm a designer and any designer's house is always evolving. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that people wouldn't have seen before. And I haven't had a chance to tidy up or style it. I've literally been working all day, so you're going to see it in its raw, natural state. So it's going to be a little bit of mess probably in some places, so don't judge me too harshly. Hey. Hello, darling. I'm going to light a candle. Can you guys do some cleaning for me?
No.
Have you tidied up the playroom so we can come and film in there?
No.
Is it a big mess? Right, let's go. Welcome to our living room. This is probably our favourite room in the house. It's got double aspect windows, so there's lots of natural light, and we just love hanging out here as a family. We've had some really special moments in this room, Christmases, dinner parties. It's a really relaxing room. We're not precious about it at all. Although it's our formal sitting room, we're very relaxed in here. A lot of the fabrics are really hard wearing, the rug, the coffee table, so the kids come in here too. And it's a special room to us, and one that I really love.
What was your thought process when it came to designing this room, Sophie?
This room is really, you know, it's our formal sitting room, and we've lived in this house we moved in here in 2012, so 9 years. And we really didn't use this room a lot. You know, we'd occasionally use it if we entertained to have drinks before dinner, and then we had it for Christmas. And the rest of the time it was one of those rooms I just sort of walked through and that was it. Maybe once every 3 months I would sit in here. And I kind of just realized it wasn't working for me. There was things about it that I loved, but it didn't feel inviting. It wasn't a space that I wanted to spend a lot of time in. It felt quite cold, if I'm honest. And I think what I've really liked about this room is that I just accepted that it wasn't what we wanted anymore. And so I gave myself the opportunity to change things up. And what I wanted to do was blend the contemporary pieces we had with maybe some more classical pieces, like these chairs. I think these chairs are actually what inspired the whole thing. I saw these online from an antiques dealer and I just fell in love with them. I think they're absolutely stunning. I love the linen, the really raw linen with this beautiful intricate carving. And this is oak, which is my favourite wood grain. And it's been bleached, so it has that really nice light look. It doesn't feel very old-fashioned. but I love mixing in different styles, and this really set the tone of what I wanted to do in here in terms of mixing different styles. My favourite thing that I own is this table. This was another antique that I bought around the same time that I found the chairs, probably about 6 months ago. And when I found it online, it was slightly darker. It was a sort of natural dark oak, so I would say it was like more orangey, which is what oak does over time. But what I love about it is if you look closely, it has all these acorns and oak leaves and acorns are just this motif that I absolutely love. If you have an oak leaf or an acorn on something, I'm probably going to buy it. But it has such an elegant shape. I love that it's an oval shape because it just works perfectly in this space. It's nice and deep, so it works really well with this deep sofa. Looks great with a lamp on it. But even on the base, like sometimes a base is something that people don't pay that much attention to, but if you look here, it's got all these like intricately carved oak leaves that curve over this little ball in the centre. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. You can't get this kind of furniture anymore. The craftsmanship is just amazing. And so I had my French polisher strip it back and give it a slight stain and this sort of lime wash finish. And I'm really, really conscious that I don't want to ruin beautiful antiques because I feel like nothing ever truly belongs to you. You're just looking after it for the next generation. But my French polisher, who's an aficionado of antiques, his name is Donald. Hi Donald, he watches this channel. He said to me that he thought the antique gods would be very happy with what we'd done here, so hopefully they approve. I've dressed this table with this Porta Romana lamp. This one arrived about 2 weeks ago. I Instagrammed it. I absolutely love, again, it's a completely different style and it's very textural. So I think it works well with the texture on the table, but it's quite oversized. And I love how it brings some lightness to this side of the room. Almost feels like it's a sculpture that doubles up as a lamp. And then for the shade itself, I've gone for, I think this is called their wolf silk. I need to check that and I'll put the link in the screen. But I love how it has this soft glow where the light comes through the shade as well as above and below, and just gives such a cozy warm glow at night time. This bookcase is another one of my absolute favourite pieces, and I think this piece of furniture shows that it doesn't actually matter what something costs. I actually found this on eBay and I think it was £150, and then I had it painted and I changed these handles to Armec Martin handles and put these little tassels on it. But I think it's just such a beautiful piece. It's not antique. I think it's probably from the 1980s, and under this, the reason I painted it is because this is actually pine wood, which isn't a very nice wood, to be honest. It's a soft wood. It's not very elegant, it's very orangey. But it's got this astral glazing, which I think is really, really elegant and so pretty. And I love how it almost gives a feeling of like another window in this room, because on the wall opposite you have windows, and then we have French doors along that whole wall, and I feel like it balanced out the room. And I wanted something that had a lot of height. It wasn't quite as high as I really wanted it. I wanted it to line up with the top of the architrave above the doors, because I like things lining up. Because it was such a perfect piece apart from that, was I've just laid up all these accessories that just give it a little bit more height above, and now it feels balanced in the room. I've painted this cabinet in 2 colours. These were just Dulux paint colours, and again I'll just share those on screen because I can't remember them off the top of my head. But I went for this light colour on the outside, and I wanted to match that fairly closely to the colour of my limestone fire surround, again, so it's creating balance around the room. And then to give it some depth and definition with all the objects inside, I wanted to go for a charcoal grey. So this is a different paint from Dulux, and I love how the depth of that colour makes all these items really pop when you see them through there. And it really shows off the astral glazing as well. Against that dark background, it really stands out. And I love having a mixture of things from different places that give me memories of different times in my life. So this little tile is from Delft in Holland, and I actually grew up in Holland from when I was about 3 to when I was 12. And I've had this ever since I was a little girl. I used to have it on my pin board in my bedroom. You can still see the blue tack on the back. I just found that the other day. I'm a bit of a hoarder. Found it in the garage and I thought I'll put that in there. It just works beautifully. I think it's really cute. It's probably like, cheap and rubbish, but I love it, and it it's nice to have things that mean something to you and not just go out and buy accessories that match your interiors. This is a room that we love to entertain in, so I wanted to get as much seating in here as possible without making it feel too cramped. So I did 2 big oversized sofas that really define the seating area. And then on this side, I didn't want to have a big blocky sofa that would close off all this natural light pouring in. I went for a really low back chair. These are incredibly comfortable, but it still makes the space feel really open. I used to have these on either side of my fireplace, but I moved them here and I thought it was just going to be temporary. But I actually, as time's going on, I like them more and more. I like how the finish of the leg picks up with the metal and the frame of the coffee table. And I like how they give a nice contrast against some of the more classical pieces like the oak table and this fabric table here. I think it just sort of stops it from feeling too old-fashioned and traditional. Then I've dressed those. These chairs are actually really, really comfortable without a cushion, but I just wanted to have a different fabric on here. And these Andrew Martin small rectangles, a great cushion for an armchair because it's not the kind of cushion that leaves no space for you to sit on. And they're really comfortable to sit on with the cushion behind you, so I love these. These are really nice. I had this bench made to put in front of the fireplace because I didn't want to block the view of the fireplace when you're sat down. Most of the time no one sits here. I just have dressed it with some coffee table books and a blanket. This one is from our collection with Co's. It's called the Sapporo blanket and it's so soft. And I love this diamond pattern that it has. This table under here is hideous. It's actually a garden table that I got from Amazon. I think it was about £30 or something. And then I had this beautiful tablecloth made. It's a linen, which was quite expensive. And then I added this Samuel & Sons trim around the perimeter, which I'd never done before, but I wanted to have something a bit more special than just a linen throw. And I love how that picks up the colours in the rug. And although this is very beautiful and intricate, again, it's just got a really earthy texture, so it doesn't feel too fussy. And then I've dressed it with this table lamp. This is an old one from Porta Romana that I bought years and years ago. I don't think they have this design anymore, but I love the darker blue inky tones and how that works really well with the wallpaper. And then the lampshade, it was almost exactly the same silk as we have on the walls. And then for the photos, this is a photo of Ava in a char green photo frame. Another one of my asparagus ferns, which I love. And just this little dish. I really like to have small bowls. I feel like they're really good for styling. You can create these little clusters. And I've put these 2 smaller objects on a leather back. By putting them on a leather back, it kind of gives them definition. They would look a little bit lost otherwise. But the leather back acts as almost a tray. And then this is just a faux coral that actually one of my designers bought me years and years ago. They saw it in a shop and it was only cheap, and I've had to glue it back together, but I absolutely love it. It gives such a nice element of interest, and I think it works really well. The texture works really well with the tablecloth and particularly the trim. This coffee table has been on my wish list for years and years. When we first bought the house back in 2012, I really wanted this coffee table. It's called the Giacometti table and it's from Porta Romana. And what I absolutely love about this table is the texture on the frame, but it's also super practical. This looks like it's a limestone top, but it's actually a painted finish on wood. So whereas natural limestone, if you put something on it, it would stain straight away. This is a lot more forgiving. And I just think it's such a special piece. It's one of those items that I know I'll always have. I also wanted to share with you a mini masterclass on how I style coffee tables. I think it can be quite overwhelming what to put on them, how to arrange it. And I've got a really simple rule. If I'm dressing a rectangular coffee table like this one, I just divide it into 4. I'll put one object in the middle and then different objects around the outside. So I'm going to show you how I do that now. I like to start with a vase of flowers, or here I've got just the foliage that I cut from my olive trees earlier, and put that right in the middle. of the coffee table. Often when we're designing lighting in a project, we'll always put a narrow beam above the coffee table centered right in the middle, and that creates a really dramatic pool of light and highlights whatever you put in the middle of your table. And I like to put the flowers in the middle because generally they're the highest item, and then the heights taper down towards the outside. I always use a tray on my coffee tables, and I like using trays because they group together smaller objects and help keep it looking tidy. This is a beautiful char green one that I got in Paris, and on it I've got this Aesop candle which smells amazing. Always have a candle on your coffee table. This stone tissue holder that's from Anna, New York, and just some coasters to encourage people to use coasters when they're having drinks in here. And then coffee table books, they're called coffee table books because that's where they should go. And this is the Andrew Martin one, and I love having a coffee table book open on just a page so it feels like more inviting to read it and it looks quite casual. I always have a box on my coffee table, and that's so that I can hide all the ugly remote controls. So this box is quite small, so I'm putting it on top of a larger book so that it feels more proportionate to the space that it has. And putting objects on books zone it as well, much in the same way that that tray is zoning all those small objects. And then this feels very neutral, so just to add some of the blue and white that I've got above the fireplace and in the accessories in my shelves, I want to bring that colour into the middle of the room. And this is my favourite pot. I've spoken about this pot before, only from eBay, super cheap, but I love it. I just think it's so beautiful. And what I think about this arrangement is it's working because you've got a nice balance of colours, of objects, it doesn't feel too cluttered, and you've got some different styles as well. You've got the very traditional blue and white pottery, and then you've got something that's really contemporary over here with the coffee table book, and you've got some nice natural elements with the olive tree branches. So for me, that looks lovely. One of the biggest mistakes I made in my own home, and I'm honest enough with myself to see that I did make some mistakes, is the wooden floor that I chose. If I could go back in time, and my husband loves the fact that he was right and I was wrong, I would have picked either a chevron or a parquet floor, which is what he told me to do at the time, and I would have gone for a lighter colour. This is a very dark grey oak. Because the stain is a lot darker than the colour of the natural wood, when it gets scratched, you do notice it. Whereas if I'd gone for a chevron in this kind of colour, because this is quite similar to the natural tone of oak, you wouldn't see all those scratches. And I would also love something with a little bit more texture because it can be quite slippery sometimes. So yeah, if I could go back in time, I would change the floor, but you know what? It still looks good, and I love it with the oversized rug as well, and it does give some contrast, so I'm happy to live with it. Over this side of the room, I've got these two commodes, which I bought years and years ago. They're discontinued now, sadly. I changed them up recently with some bronze handles from Armac Martin. They had some chrome handles before, and I much prefer them now. I think bronze just adds a lot more sophistication to a room. I've also recently added these Porta Romana lamps. These are called the Zulu lamp, and I've loved these for years. We've used these on lots of projects, and I've always sort of had in the back of my mind that I wanted to have them in here. I do love a ceramic base. I just feel like it feels warmer than having glass everywhere. And this has got a really beautifully textured silk on the shade, and again, similarly to the other lamp, I went for one that wasn't black outlined, so you get all the light kind of gives you a soft glow through the lampshade. And then I've dressed that with some accessories like photo frames. This is a picture of Ava when she was a baby. I absolutely love this picture. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. I can't believe she's nearly 5. And again, some more leather books, which are giving height to this little pot. Jo Malone candle. This is a lime, basil and mandarin. It smells really nice, smells super fresh. And then on this side, I've just got a hammered metal frame, which wasn't expensive. It's only from John Lewis, but I love the texture. It kind of reminds me of char green. A faux orchid, which needs a bit of a dust. And then this is a agate slice, which normally people use them as bookends, but I like to put them there sort of asymmetrically. can't speak, just casually arranged. And I think it just frames, you can see the sort of accessories frame around the table lamp and fill the space nicely. When I decided I wanted to change this room up, I had a huge sale of furniture, and this was probably about 6 to 9 months ago. And my poor husband, he came in the room on a Friday, and I'd basically sold all the furniture that week, and I'd raised loads of money for charity. It was great, but it also gave me a feeling like I could get rid of all that furniture and start again. And so I had this sofa made with one of our upholsterers, and it's upholstered in this velvet, and it's from Perennials. I think it's called Plushy. It's called Plushy. And what's great about this velvet is that it's really practical. It's one of their performance fabrics, and I think I've told you a lot about these in previous videos, but they are bomb-proof. You can spill red wine on them if you want to, and you can just bleach it out afterwards. And then I've dressed this sofa with 2 of my Andrew Martin cushions. This is a really lovely printed linen, and then I've added this mid-size rectangle with the boucle and the brush fringe, which I love. It picks up the tones in the sofa as well. And I love mixing in rectangular cushions because I feel like, you know, if you have 2 big squares, they take up quite a lot of space. Whereas if you look at this side, having just 1 square and a rectangle, it gives a lot more space on the sofa.
How many cushions would you say is too many cushions on a sofa, Sophie?
When you can't sit down, you've gone too far. This cushion, people ask me a lot about this cushion. This isn't from our Andrew Martin collection. This is from an amazing lady called Sabina Faye Braxton, and they're all hand printed on silk velvet, and I think this is silver ink. But the way I see it is we kind of have a responsibility to keep these traditions and these crafts alive, and if you can afford to buy beautiful handmade pieces, then I think you should. You should spend your money on beautiful items that are handmade and keep these craftsmen going that have been going for hundreds and hundreds of years, rather than just buying, you know, cheap things off Amazon. It's okay to buy the odd thing, but it's nice to mix it in with some beautiful objects as well. And I think, you know, I'm not precious about it. People sit on it and lean on it, but it's almost one of those things that the more beaten up it becomes and more weathered, it will look almost like it's vintage and look even better. When I'm dressing a sofa, as well as doing cushions, I love to put a throw over the arm or casually draped over the back of the sofa. This one is from our Burlington collection with Andrew Martin. If you're playing the Andrew Martin game, take a shot. But I love how it has this really classic chain design, and it adds a bit of pattern onto the sofa as well. This mirror I had commissioned when we first moved into the house, and it's made from aigle mise, so it's all silver leaf or gold leaf behind, and then it's been distressed. The maker, when I commissioned this, he made quite a few for me. I've got one here, I've got one in my entrance hall, and then I have a huge one that goes up my staircase. He got so many inquiries from other people wanting to copy this design, and he called it the Sophie mirror. So if you want to get one of these mirrors, it's by Stuart Fox, and you have to ask for the Sophie mirror. And it's something that people ask me a lot about, so Stuart Fox. This is such a special room to me and my family. We've had some really amazing memories in here. I hope that you've enjoyed having a look around. I hope that it's been useful to hear some of the reasons why I've chosen certain pieces, and maybe some takeaway tips that you can use in your own home. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more behind the scenes, more tips and tricks, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.